Diddy is once again fighting to get out of jail early. He's currently being held at Brooklyn MDC while awaiting his official sentencing in October. Right after his conviction, his lawyers tried to secure his release with a $1 million bail offer, but the judge shut it down immediately. Now he's upping the ante, this time putting a staggering $50 million bail package on the table in hopes of walking free.
Now to the Sean Diddy Combs case. We may learn this week if he will be released on bond while he awaits sentencing. His lawyers filed a request asking the judge to release Combs on $50 million bond.
Diddy's defense team argues that he shouldn't be locked up because the crimes he was convicted of weren't violent. He was found guilty on 2 counts under the Mann Act, which makes it illegal to transport people across state lines for unlawful purposes. While the law is categorized as involving violence under bail guidelines, his actual charges didn't include direct physical harm. Still, if Diddy were released, it could put everyone who testified against him at risk, and that may be exactly why the judges have been so reluctant to grant him bail.
The judge said next time. So he probably let Diddy get away with it to see how far he was going to do it. But then he said, nah, we're not having this. Because you got to realize the jury is not sequestered. They go home every day. And he's known for tampering with witnesses. If you go through the trial right today, you see how he was trying to tamper with some of the people by having security, D-Rock, and other people talk to them. They are saying that in their testimony. So the judge is very aware of the fact, by hearing the testimony of some of the witnesses, that he was trying to tamper with the investigation.
During the trial, prosecutors brought forward testimony accusing Diddy of being aggressive toward Cassie and another woman identified as Jane. However, the jury ultimately didn't convict him on those claims and found him not guilty of any direct violent assault charges. Some critics point to a 2016 hotel video as proof of misconduct, but since no case was filed in California at the time, the statute of limitations ran out and it couldn't be used against him. Now, Diddy's legal team insists he can't be held accountable for allegations that never led to a conviction. Still, prosecutors argue the testimony and past incidents show troubling behavior, making him a potential risk if released. The judge seems to agree. Meanwhile, Jaguar Wright has urged people to stay alert, warning that Diddy has likely been running heavy damage control efforts ever since the trial began.
Diddy does have a plan to try to derail the information, derail the chain of evidence, derail history as it actually happened. And he is the kind of guy that has no problem with re-victimizing people all over again. Let's just keep it a buck. These girls showed up at a very opportune time, did they not? Adria and Lamisha Fuller. Very opportune time. I do Pierce Morgan. The elites go insane. Ariel Mitchell Kidd drops Adria English as a client after she got drunk and talked with Tasha K, which was side in itself, if you ask me. I go on Pierce Morgan and say I have 3 witnesses that are ready to come forward against the Carters. I didn't say against Diddy, I said against the Carters. And then there was the fake C&D, which was nothing more than a phone call from the lawyer Alex Spiro, who tanked the Rock Nation offering so Dame Dash couldn't make any real money off of it.
Jaguar highlighted how Diddy's conviction could have massive consequences, especially with LB, sure joining the voices against him and fueling even greater financial damage.
We get off Diddy.
I'll be sure is somebody that at the time when you were doing your run back in 2024, you were waiting to hear from him. You knew he was going to say something. He finally waited to do the Diddy documentary to finally speak. And I think TMZ put out, or I forgot who put it out, but there was a documentary kind of put out on the downfall of Diddy. and I'll be sure was part of that, speaking his story. For you to see him, because again, he was very calculated on who he spoke with, whether it's real life or whoever it was. He was calculated as far as who he was going to speak with, but he ended up finally speaking and it going on the documentary. What credit do you give him for coming out and at least starting the conversation?
What do you mean? What credit?
Yes.
All credit.
There you go.
One of the best moments for me was seeing that documentary and watching how the footage that they took from this blue couch lined up perfectly with everything he had to say.
Mm.
Why did that not hit?
How did
How
that
don't hit different?
Right.
I'm just
And you said it on your platform too. Like, why aren't, as we're closing in on this trial, why isn't there more?
how didn't that hit different?
Right.
Because as much as I love, I'll be sure, much as I love Mr. Albert Brown Sr., father, grandfather, amazing artist, incredible writer, wonderful entrepreneur, and radio personality. It's so funny when I talk about all of the things that my friend I'll be sure is. It's funny, everyone forgets that he did all of these things. Like, it's sad that not until that documentary, people weren't even acknowledging that he was an original investor, owner in Uptown Records that got demolished. So bad boy. But for me to be able to say the same things that he was saying, and we haven't even been in each other's presence, how did that hit different?
There you go.
It's like they just don't want to accept the truth. And she passes away.
Yeah. That right there.
Al said something. I said something. We were attacked immediately.
Right.
Why? You want to know what else I find funny? We got attacked for speaking about the truth. But all of those other entertainers, ain't none of them say nothing. Especially the females who were mentored and influenced by Angie Stone, no different than me. Not as much. I was truly influenced by Betty Wright, but then again, Angie Stone was influenced by her, so I guess it's all the same thing.
Bail law is strict, and for Diddy to be released, he must prove two things: that he's not a flight risk and that he won't reoffend. His legal team insists he's staying put, offering to surrender his passport, wear an ankle monitor, and stake $50 million as collateral. But the real challenge is convincing the judge he won't repeat the behavior tied to his conviction. That's a tough sell, given Diddy's long history of similar allegations. In fact, here's a clip of Jaguar Wright calling him out 5 years ago.
Yeah, Diddy is a shepherd for the devil. Everybody told me he was a shepherd for the devil, and I see it for myself. Y'all want to know how divisive Sean Combs, Honey Combs is? Go talk to Father MC and ask him how he feels about the love of his life being stopped to death, and all Puff wanted to do was keep it quiet so nobody knew that he was responsible because he didn't have the appropriate motherfucking goddamn permits to do half of the shows he was doing at Howard. Sean Combs, your agenda to destroy talent in the music industry, as successful as it's been, it needs to end. The way you embarrass those people who are making the band, yeah, it might have made good TV. It was good TV because you were sitting there humiliating people for having talent. Why you hate talent so much, Puff? Trying to contend with someone filled with power who know they doesn't need you is much harder than contending with someone that has no talent, that can't survive without you. The only thing that proves is that you're a narcissist. You have beautiful children. You should spend more time looking at them instead of looking up little young girls' skirts. That thing that girl said about you, the side bitch, while you was with Cassie, who was the side bitch, while you was with Kim. Your relationships overlap so much, Puff. You like a monkey, for real. You like a monkey. And you know how monkeys travel through the jungle, right? They go from vine to vine. But when monkeys travel from vine to vine, they don't swing on the rope and jump off and catch the next rope. No, they don't let go of one branch until they got a firm grasp on the other. And that's your whole relationship story. You're disrespectful to women. For real, you're probably the Jeffrey Epstein of hip-hop. And Puff, if your ass is itching about it, you can say something to me too. Because I know what really happened with you, Shine, and Jennifer Lopez. I know what really happened, yo. That boy that you tried to clone and turn into Biggie Smalls. Shout out to the memory of Biggie, yo. If you don't want me talking, Puff, keep your distance. Because I'm not big and I'm not Tupac. My head is always on a swivel. And what's really sad is, of all of the things that I've been sharing with y'all over the past 6 weeks, I ain't told you shit.
The judge also pointed out that even Diddy's own lawyers admitted in court that if the case had focused solely on domestic violence, the 2016 video would have likely led to a guilty verdict. That admission is now working against him in his bid for bail. On top of that, many believe plenty of celebrities want to see him stay behind bars, largely because he's rumored to hold damaging blackmail material on them.
When they have a warrant, a search warrant for a residence, is not for a body. If they had one for a body, they would have brought it in. Now, if they would have went there and they found guns, drugs, and Diddy was there, they would have brought him in. You know what I'm saying? They would have brought him in. Like they brought his sons in. And then they want to know, well, why are these unlicensed guns in the house? Who drugs do these belong to? All those things like that. But a lot of people probably believe that, you know, they just want to know, and the government want to know what things those people were doing on those tapes and who was doing shit on those tapes. Because I heard they found like 250 cameras or something like that.
That's what they say. They said they found a lot of cameras.
Right.
There's a lot of rumors about him recording some of these parties, and he's using a lot of this stuff for blackmail, like a lot of celebrities, even as far as politicians. You know, I think even Little Rod said that Diddy had every room taped and bugged.
Right. Well, in his affidavit or his deposition that he gave to the courts, he said every room was bugged, and that he did have tapes and information on a lot of different celebrities and people in the music business, people that were in politicians, and like I said, in other platforms, people that was in the ministry. Allegedly.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, if the feds got their hands on these tapes, you could very well see like a domino effect of shit coming down on everybody.
It depends on what's on the tapes. You know what I'm saying? If it has anything, see, what people don't understand is this, is that having sex is not a crime, but having sex with underage is.
Another big question is whether it even makes sense for Diddy to fight for bail right now. If his sentence ends up being just 1 to 2 years, much of the time he's already spent in jail would likely count toward that. In other words, he might only have a short stretch left, so getting out now only to return in a few months may not benefit him much. But there's also a larger conversation here. Many people believe that if Diddy weren't wealthy and famous, he wouldn't even have a chance to fight for bail in the first place. Regular defendants in similar situations rarely get that option. For those who came forward with accusations, The hope is that the court prioritizes their voices over how much money Diddy can put on the table. It's also worth noting that even after years of investigation and enormous effort by federal authorities, the case didn't play out the way prosecutors wanted. They had spent years building a trafficking case, yet the jury wasn't fully convinced. Over the course of the trial, more than 30 witnesses testified for the prosecution, while the defense didn't call a single one. And despite all that testimony, the jury still acquitted him on the most serious charges. Gene Deal, however, has a different theory about why the feds came in with such a weak case. According to him, Diddy wasn't the main target. They were really after the tapes he was rumored to be holding.
This case had nothing to do with really putting Puff in jail, because those people are educated enough to know they could have won that case by other charges and they didn't even go for it. They didn't even go for it. That gun charge was locked, sealed, and they didn't even go for it. Why? It was about them going in there, getting those tapes. I think the prosecutor name was Damian Williams. He was sent there and put that because somebody told him in high places, Puff might be the Black Jeff Epstein. He got all the tapes of some people that are friends of ours. They found out that he had those tapes of them. Y'all go get them. Why is the southern state of New York going all the way over in California and down in Miami when they have their own divisions? Why? People ain't thinking about that. They went down there because some people told them, yo, y'all go down there and y'all go get these tapes from this dude. Because we know he got them. And he got them stored in one of these houses. They go in there, they do a raid. Bruh. They brought out they said close to 900 some bottles of baby oil. I know this for a fact. When you do a raid, you do what they call a field test on any substance you bring out that house. You do a field test on any substance that you bring out that house. They not bringing 900 bottles of baby oil out that if it was just baby oil.
Prosecutors are pushing back hard against Diddy's latest bid to escape his conviction. In a new filing submitted late Wednesday night, nearly 3 weeks after the verdict, they argued that his request for an acquittal or a new trial has zero legal grounds. Their stance is clear: the convictions stand, and Diddy should move forward to sentencing on October 3rd.
Cassie and Daphne both was victims, but the jury and probably was looking for more women that was victimized in the trafficking thing. And then if they would have brought in more women, and there was more women out there. I talked to a couple of women myself, and I was like, even the women who did the civil suits, the prosecution didn't want to bring them in because they were doing civil suits. And they knew that the defense would get on them and try to make it a shamble about, oh, it's about money. But still in all, when he go to jail, watch how many women and how many people come forward on their civil claims. You're going to have a lot of men come forward too. Watch and see. Our people got a strange way, and they pick and choose who they should be loyal to, and it's strange, bruh. How they celebrating this demon, bruh. They celebrating this demon. Do you understand that? The RICO law, you understand? The racketeering, criminal enterprise, and corruption, all this other bullshit like that. It was hard for the jury to take that in because when they hear about RICO law, they hear about racketeering, they think about the mafia. They think about the mafia. So they couldn't come to grips with that. And that's okay. But I know this for a fact. He ain't getting no time served. He ain't getting no less than 5 years. He's gonna get the mandatory minimum or he's gonna get more. He's gonna get the mandatory minimum or he's gonna get more. Point blank. So all you people that's celebrating and want to know how Gene Deal feel, I'm all right.
Prosecutors still secured a major victory with the Mann Act convictions, backed by key evidence presented in court. One of the most talked about moments came when jurors were shown a 2016 video of Diddy and R&B singer Cassie, whose real name is Cassandra Ventura, in a Los Angeles hotel hallway. Cassie also took the stand, testifying that Diddy became aggressive when she tried to leave one of the so-called freak-offs. That testimony allowed prosecutors to argue his behavior went far beyond parties, showing a clear pattern of control and aggression. While Diddy managed to avoid trafficking convictions, the two Mann Act counts still carry serious weight. Prosecutors maintain those charges are significant and deserve real punishment, even if they don't have the same headline-grabbing label as trafficking. With a sentencing date now set, the big question is just how much time the judge will decide to give him.
But if this the plan that God got it for him right now, it's God's plan. And what y'all don't understand, y'all celebrate thinking that it can't happen in jail. They might put him in a couple of places before he make it over there to Madoc, R. Kelly, rest of the criminals that's have easygoing spots and stuff like that. But it still can happen there. Somebody get mad. Somebody got a relative or something like that he did something to that we don't know about. And they run into him. And they hit him with his own words. Take that, take that. Then what y'all gonna say? I ain't worrying about it, man. This is funny to me, man. This is real funny that the prosecution spent all that money, all that time, and all that resources when they had legitimate charges that they could have put on him other than the RICO, other than the racketeering. That gun charge is mandatory. So now you got to realize this. A lot of people going to bring up cases to the federal government. This becomes case law now.
For now, Diddy is still locked up, with his defense team insisting he shouldn't spend a single day behind bars, while prosecutors push for several years of prison time. The flurry of back-and-forth filings shows just how hard both sides are fighting, but ultimately, it's the judge who will make the call when sentencing arrives this fall. The bigger question remains, will even bigger names get dragged into the spotlight? According to Gene Deal, that's almost certain.
So I want to go back to the comments you made earlier about these tapes, and I want you to give more clarity So you believe they only got Puffy because they wanted these tapes. What do you think is on these tapes?
Bro, you got to realize you got people like Prince Harry. Prince Harry was at a Diddy party. You got um, some of the same Universal executives. Diddy made it cool for, I'm just gonna say it like this, man, whites to hang out with the hood dudes. Dude from the hood, he made it cool and safe for them to hang out with the white executives. They used them for that. They used them enough, whereas that now you got white executives doing Diddy-like parties. Remember the dude from what's that, Frantic? The clothing line, the sports line? They was mad because they didn't get invites to his party because he was doing white parties, doing parties like Diddy. Now I ain't talking about the freak off party part of it, but I'm just saying he was doing those parties and everybody that was rappers or I think Stephen A. Smith said something about he was upset that he didn't get no invite. So it was those parties that everybody wanted to be at. So Diddy have on tape, he taped everything. He taped everything and taped everybody. You remember in this trial it came up. In this trial it came up. What came up in this trial? It came up that his assistant was right there. And Diddy told him, "You want to show your lord to me?" Gave him a condom and told him to sex the girl right there. He asked the girl, "Was she all right there?" She said, "Yeah." That's crazy, bro. So now you think certain politicians, you think certain actors, actress, they drinking, smoking, we know they love pink coke. You know they got weed all in the air. They dropping pills, they dropping what's some other kind of pill. Man, do you think he ain't got nobody on tape, bruh?
What's your take on Gene's theory? Do you think the feds might actually let Diddy slide just to go after even bigger names? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.